A day in the life of a medieval shepherd. Chapter 1. The quiet morning in the field. The shepherd wakes slowly, not all at once, but in a gentle and gradual way, as if the morning itself is unfolding around him at the same slow pace, and the air in the small room is still and cool, carrying a faint smell of wood and dry straw. And for a short while he does not move. He simply lies there, feeling the quiet around him, listening to the soft silence that fills the early hour before the day has fully begun. The light outside is not yet strong. It is soft and dim, a pale gray blue that rests gently against the walls. And as he opens his eyes, the shapes in the room come into view slowly. The low wooden table, the simple tools, the folded cloth, everything in its place, unchanged, steady, familiar. He breathes in slowly and the cool air moves softly through his chest, and then he begins to sit up, moving without hurry, letting his feet touch the floor, feeling the slight chill of the ground beneath him. And for a moment he remains still again, as if giving himself time to fully arrive in the day. When he stands, he does so quietly, and his movements remain slow and even, reaching for his simple clothes, putting them on in the same order as always, each motion repeated from many mornings before. And there is comfort in this repetition, in knowing exactly what comes next without needing to think, without needing to change anything. The door opens with a soft sound, and the air outside feels cooler, slightly damp, carrying the scent of earth and grass, and a thin layer of fog rests low across the ground, moving almost too slowly to notice, and the sky above is still pale, with no strong light, only a gentle brightness that slowly grows. And he steps outside, closing the door behind him, and begins to walk. His steps are quiet against the ground, and the path beneath him is familiar, worn by many days of the same journey. And as he walks, the world around him remains calm and still, the trees standing without movement, the grass holding small drops of moisture, and the fog drifting in a soft and steady way. And he breathes in the cool air again, letting it settle within him. Not far from his home, the sheep wait together, gathered in a quiet group, and they do not move much, only shifting slightly, their presence calm and steady. And he approaches them without sound, and they seem to recognize the beginning of the day in the same quiet way that he does, without any sudden movement, without any noise, just a slow awareness. He lifts his hand slightly, guiding them in a gentle direction, and they begin to move, not quickly, not all at once, but in a slow and steady flow. And he walks beside them, keeping a calm pace, and the path leads them outward, away from the small cluster of buildings, toward the open field that stretches into the soft morning light. The fog continues to rest across the land, and as they walk through it, it shifts gently around them, never breaking, never changing quickly, only moving in small and almost invisible ways, and the grass beneath their feet bends slightly with each step, and the sound of their movement is soft, a quiet brushing, repeated again and again. The shepherd does not hurry, he does not need to, and the sheep follow the same slow rhythm, and together they move across the land as if they are part of the same steady pattern, one that repeats each day, one that does not need to change. As they reach the open field, he slows even more, allowing the sheep to spread out gradually, and they begin to graze, lowering their heads, moving only slightly as they eat, and the field itself feels wide and quiet, covered in soft grass that holds the coolness of the morning. and the fog remains, thin but present, softening the edges of everything. He stands for a moment, looking across the field, and the world feels very still, very even, and there is nothing to interrupt this stillness. No sudden sound, no sharp movement, only the quiet presence of the land, the slow breathing of the air, and the gentle activity of the sheep. After a while, he begins to walk slowly along the edge of the field, not with any urgency, but simply to remain close, to keep the same gentle watch that he always does, and his steps remain even, his breathing calm, and his eyes move slowly across the space, taking in the small details, the movement of grass, the faint shifting of fog, the soft shapes of the animals as they move from one place to another. The light continues to grow, but it does so very slowly, and it does not become bright or sharp. It only becomes slightly clearer, and the colors of the field remain soft, muted, calm, and the air stays cool, resting gently against his skin. Time passes in a quiet and steady way, and there is no clear moment when. One part of the morning becomes another. It all blends together, step by step, breath by breath, and the shepherd continues to walk, to pause, to watch, and to walk again, and the sheep continue to graze, to shift slightly, to remain within the same gentle pattern. There is no need for change, no need for anything more, and the simplicity of this routine carries him forward, slowly, quietly, into the next part of the day, as the morning unfolds in the same calm and predictable way, and the field, the fog, the soft light, and the steady movement of his steps all come together into one continuous and a soothing rhythm that does not break, does not hurry, and does not end, but simply continues, as it always has, and as it always will. Chapter 2: The Long Quiet of the Field. As the morning settles into a calm and steady rhythm, the shepherd finds a small place to sit near the edge of the field, where the ground is soft and the grass is slightly shorter, and he lowers himself slowly, without any sudden movement, letting his body rest in a natural and familiar position. And once he is seated, he does not move much. He simply remains there, looking out across the field where the sheep continue their slow and quiet grazing. The air moves gently across the land, not in strong gusts, but in a soft and steady flow that can be felt more than seen. And as it passes through the grass, it creates a very slight movement, a small shifting that travels across the field in a slow and almost unnoticeable way. And the sound of it is faint, a soft brushing that repeats again and again, blending into the stillness of the morning. The shepherd watches without hurry, his eyes moving slowly from one part of the field to another, not searching for anything, not expecting anything to change, but simply observing what is already there. The small movements of the sheep as they lower their heads, take a few steps, and lower their heads again, repeating the same quiet action over and over. Some of the sheep move slightly closer together, while others drift a little farther apart, but there is no urgency in their movement, no sudden change, only a slow and steady pattern that continues without interruption, and the shepherd remains still, his hands resting lightly on his knees, his breathing calm and even. From time to time, he shifts slightly, adjusting his position in a small and careful way, and then he becomes still again, returning to the same quiet posture, and the act of sitting, of waiting, of watching, becomes a kind of gentle rhythm in itself, repeating just as the movement of the sheep repeats, Just as the soft wind continues to pass through the grass, the light is changed again, though only slightly, becoming a little warmer, a little clearer, but still soft, still without sharpness, and the sky above remains calm and open, holding a pale color that does not demand attention, and the field continues to stretch outward, quiet and undisturbed. In the distance there are faint sounds, very soft and very far away, perhaps the distant call of a bird or the quiet shifting of something unseen. But these sounds do not break the calm. They simply exist within it, rising and fading without leaving any trace, and the shepherd does not react to them. He does not turn his head quickly or listen closely. He simply allows them to pass, just as everything else passes. After some time, he reaches down slowly, picking up a small piece of dry grass, and he turns it lightly between his fingers, feeling its texture, its slight roughness. And this small action repeats for a while, not because it is needed, but because it fills the quiet space in a simple and gentle way. And then he lets it fall, and his hands return to rest. The sheep continue their grazing, and their movement remains slow and steady. And sometimes one will pause, lifting its head for a moment before lowering it again. And this small change is not sudden or sharp. It is soft and brief, and then the pattern continues as before. The shepherd watches this without thinking, without judging, simply noticing, and then letting the moment pass. And this cycle repeats many times. Small actions, small pauses, small movements, all blending together into one continuous flow that does not rise or fall, but remains even and calm. The wind continues to move across the field, touching the grass, brushing lightly against the shepherd's clothes, and it carries with it a faint coolness that remains steady, never becoming too strong, never disappearing completely. And this consistency adds to the quiet feeling of the place, as if everything is held within the same gentle balance. Time moves slowly here, and it is not marked by anything sudden or clear, but by the subtle changes in light, the slight shift in air, the repeated actions of the sheep, and the stillness of the shepherd. And as the minutes pass, they feel less like separate moments and more like a single, unbroken stretch of calm. At times, the shepherd closes his eyes for a short while, not fully sleeping, but resting them, allowing the softness of the air and the quiet of the field to settle around him. And when he opens them again, nothing has changed. The sheep are still grazing. The grass is still moving gently. The sky is still soft. And this sameness brings a quiet comfort, a sense that there is no need for anything more. After a long while, he stands slowly, not because anything requires him to, but simply because it is part of the same routine. And he takes a few steps, walking along the edge of the field, his pace as slow and steady as before. And he looks again across the sheep, making sure they remain within the same open space. And they do, their movement unchanged, their rhythm steady. He pauses again and then walks again, and this simple pattern continues. Step, pause, look, and step again. And there is no urgency, no need to hurry, only the quiet continuation of the day. The field remains calm, the wind remains soft. The sounds remain distant and gentle, and the shepherd continues to watch and wait, and the sheep continue to graze, and everything moves together in the same slow and predictable way, forming a steady and unbroken rhythm that carries the day forward without any need for change, without any interruption, only the same quiet, repetitive, and soothing flow that gently fills the time. Chapter 3: The Gentle Return at Dusk. As the long, quiet stretch of the day continues, the light above the field begins to change in a very soft and gradual way. Not suddenly and not sharply, but in a slow fading that feels almost the same as the passing of time itself. And the pale tones of the sky begin to deepen slightly, becoming warmer and then slowly cooler again as the sun lowers beyond the distant edge of the land. And the shepherd notices this change without thinking too much about it, only as a quiet awareness that the day is moving toward its end. He stands still for a moment, looking across the field where the sheep continue to graze in their slow and steady way. And the air feels a little different now, slightly cooler, slightly heavier, carrying the calm presence of the coming evening. And the wind, which has been soft all day, remains gentle, moving lightly through the grass and brushing quietly against his clothes. After a short while, he begins to move. Not quickly, not with any urgency, but in the same slow and steady way that has guided all his actions. And he walks across the field, his steps quiet and even, approaching the sheep without disturbing their calm. And as he draws closer, he lifts his hand slightly, guiding them with a gentle motion, and they begin to shift. Not all at once, but in a slow and gradual way, turning and moving together, forming a loose group that begins to follow the familiar path back toward the village. The movement is unhurried, each step small and measured, and the shepherd walks beside them, sometimes slightly ahead, sometimes slightly behind, keeping a steady presence. And the sheep continue their slow walking, stopping from time to time to graze briefly before moving again. And this pattern repeats. Step, pause, step again. And there is no need to change it. No need to hurry because the path is known, and the day has no sudden demands. The light continues to fade as they walk, and the field becomes softer in color. The greens turning more muted, the edges of things becoming less defined, and the sky above carries a deeper blue, though it is still gentle and not dark, and the fog that had rested lightly in the morning begins to return in a thin layer, drifting slowly across the land, moving in the same quiet way as before. The shepherd breathes in the cooler air, and his body carries a soft sense of tiredness, not heavy or sharp, but steady and calm, the natural feeling of a day spent in slow and simple work. And he continues walking, guiding the sheep along the path that leads back toward home. As they near the edge of the field, the shapes of the village begin to appear again, small and quiet, just as they had been in the morning, and the path becomes more familiar with each step. The ground slightly firmer, the grass shorter, and the sheep move in the same slow rhythm, staying close together now as the space narrows. The shepherd does not speak. He does not make any sudden gesture. He simply walks, and the sheep follow, and together they move through the soft evening light, the quiet of the day settling around them. When they reach the small enclosure near his home, he guides the sheep inside, one by one, allowing them to enter at their own pace. And once they are all within, he closes the gate gently, making sure it rests in place. And then he stands for a moment, looking at them as they settle, their movement becoming even slower now, some lying down, others standing quietly, and the calm of the day remains within them as well. He turns away slowly and walks toward his home, the short distance feeling familiar and easy, and as he reaches the door, he opens it quietly and steps inside, and the room greets him with the same stillness it held in the early morning, The same simple arrangement of objects, unchanged, steady, and calm. He moves slowly, placing his things where they belong, and then he prepares a small meal, simple and unhurried, and he eats quietly, sitting in the dim light, and the act of eating follows the same gentle rhythm as everything else. Slow bites, soft movements, no rush. After he finishes, he cleans what little needs to be cleaned, and then he sits for a while, doing nothing, simply resting, and the quiet of the room surrounds him, blending with the faint sounds from outside, the distant presence of the wind, the soft stillness of the evening, and the day begins to settle into memory, not as separate moments, but as one continuous and gentle flow. After some time, he prepares for sleep, moving slowly, removing his outer clothes and placing them aside, and he lies down, pulling a simple covering over himself, and the air inside the room feels calm and cool, and his body relaxes into the familiar shape of rest. His breathing slows, and his thoughts do not linger on anything in particular. They simply fade, just as the light outside has faded, and the steady rhythm of the day, the walking, the watching, the waiting, all come together into one soft and continuous feeling. And that feeling carries him gently, without any sudden change, into sleep as the quiet of the evening deepens and the world outside remains calm, still, and unchanged.